Okay guys, so I've brought the car into the garage now. I have completely dried it down and used the air dryer. It sat here for about 2 hours. Had a nice lunch and coming back to it. So as you can see here, I've used the sandpaper on the actual brake lights. And you can see that it's hard to pick up in the camera, the white panels, but essentially close up, it all looks like this. So once you've actually used the sandpaper to get any contaminants off the panels and including the brake lights and headlights, it will look sort of hazy like this, but that's no problem whatsoever. When you rub your hand over it, it doesn't feel abrasive at all. It's simply just a very light wet sandpaper to use, and that'll come out with the compound that I'm going to use now. Alright guys, so I've got the car dry now. It's been sitting in here for a couple of hours. It's been blow dried as well, get all the water out. As you can see, I've put some tape around the window lower edges in particular because I don't want the pad on the actual ShineMate dual action polisher to get torn up as it goes over those surfaces. Here I've got the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound, which I'm going to be using to compound the passenger side of the car here, left side Australia, and I'm going to be doing the front and bonnet as well. And then on the other side of the car, I'm going to be using the Shoal Concepts products for the actual boot and driver's side. And then just do a comparison at the end. So to start off with, I'm simply just got a blue pad here, which is good for light removal of the damaged areas on the paint, and I'm going to use this Meguiar's compound. I'm just going to give it a good shake first because it's the first time that it's ever been used. Just doing a little touch up, which I just done. Right, so as you can see, I've got 4 dabs on there. I'm simply now just going to go to my panel that I'm going to do first. So I'm just going to do this rear quarter panel here where we put the petrol in, just on this side of a car. I'm simply just going to tap, 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 tap. Then I will turn it on, set the speed setting to 1, maybe 1.5, just to slowly spread that compound. Then I'll turn it up to 5 and I'll make my way through this area here. Okay guys, so I've just done 4 passes of this one panel here, and I can see that a good amount of that has come out. The panel is lukewarm, it's not overly hot, just done 50% overpasses with the pad, up and down, horizontal and vertical. So I'm just going to give that another hit now with 4 more dabs and see how that comes up. Okay guys, so that was the second pass I've actually done on that panel now. Just being very careful to ensure that I don't get the panel too hot, just letting the machine and the pad work for itself, not applying overpressure to it. It's feeling pretty nice as it is, even though it's just a compound. The polish is not on top, but it's quite smooth to touch. You can see all the little hand marks I've got there from spreading my fingers around, but yep, for sure when this polish goes on, it's going to feel really great. So yes, this feels amazing. Sure enough, all of the previous ceramic coatings come off, but looking forward to doing the whole car. It's going to be quite a job to do, but well worth it. Alright guys, so the entire car has now been compounded. I was so ecstatic with the results from the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound, but I decided to not switch it up side to side with Shell Concepts. I just did the entire car. Really good product, works excellent, gets the scratches out and makes the paint decently smooth, even as a compound rather than a polish. The feel to the touch is just amazing. But now that I've actually compounded the whole car, there is tiny little bits of the actual compound. When you rub your fingers, you can feel it. I actually now need to use the CarPro eraser. So as it says, it's an intensive oil and polish cleaner. So I'm going to use that now to with microfiber cloths, as you can see here, brand new ones from waxer.com.au, to remove all of this residue and sort of not quite sure what the word is to say, but as you can see there, you can see where the machine has been working the compound into the paint. You actually need to get rid of all of that with a razor and several new microfibers before you can actually move to the final polish stage, where I'll be using the Meguiar's Ultimate Polish. Really happy with the outcome. Because my lip is freshly painted, I'm not going to compound that down. I'm only going to put the Meguiar's polish onto it. I've given it a really good wipe down, and will do so with this eraser. And so that's the only part of the car that I'm not actually going to be compounding. Sorry, and I should say as well that I have not done the roof. My roof is wrapped, and I don't necessarily feel and can see bad contaminants in it or swirl marks. So I'm just going to actually just hand polish that with the Meguiar's applicator pads, but I will do that last. I also have not done the windows at all, and I know a lot of people wind the windows down, and then when they do, there's like a centimetre's worth of sort of dry raindrop marks where it pushes up into the rubbers of the door frame. So I haven't done that as well. I plan to do that by hand with the Meguiar's compound and see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, then yes, I'll wind the window down a bit and give it a shot. But as for now, the car is completely compounded, feels amazing to the touch, and I'm now just going to give that full razor fill. I've got a feeling it's going to look pretty good even just with that. Alright guys, so I, as you know, used the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound on the car. I at first thought that the car felt really nice. It really did feel super smooth. It was quite good. But then I went to go and put a couple of lights up against the panels, and I found that I still had some light swirl marks in my actual paint. So it is a really good product. It's just that the grade of cut in that compound just didn't seem to be strong enough. So I didn't record the part when I finished, but what I actually did was I ended up trying another compound, which is a German compound, which was in the box. As you can see here, it's called Shell Concepts S3 Gold XXL, and as it says there, extra heavy cut. Looking at the back of the bottle, it says here that the cutting power is extra heavy, and it has a high gloss level, the equivalent of a 1500 sandpaper. So as you can recall, I used a wet sand 2000, and it did leave a number of marks across the panel. So if I was to have my time again, at first my way of thinking was that I'd use the wet sanding instead of using a pad, because I didn't want to get the pad dirty with the paint that was from my brake calipers. Thinking about it again, I probably would have looked at purchasing another type of pad, a heavy cut pad, and just simply using that and discarding it, not using it again in the future. So if you're watching this video, which is a good thing to do, watching the whole thing through before starting, that's probably what I would recommend. You can still do the Wet Sand 2000. I'm going to show you what the end result was. But when I used the heavy cut, the car still felt amazingly smooth. It had a high gloss level, so I'm certainly happy with that. But that certainly got rid of a number of the swirl marks. And so I'm just going to cut to a video now where it shows the difference where I was using the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound on the right side of the wing here, and then the left side where I was using the Shoal Concepts extra heavy cut. Meguiar's Compound. Shoal heavy. So when I actually did the whole car again in extra heavy cut, I then wanted to bring even more gloss to the car. So I used the other bottle that was in the car, in the box of with the DA in the deal I bought from maxit.com.au, which is this S30 Plus Premium Swirl Remover. And this one is the actual fine cut. So this one actually has a fine cut, but has an extreme gloss level. So this one certainly put the gloss into the paint and made the paint feel even smoother than just having the Meguiar's Compound or even the S3 Gold. It still feels very smooth, really good. Yes, sure, there are some very, very small, scantily laid out across the car, some swirl marks, but it's a lot better than when it started. And speaking to my friend who's heavily into this, he said you can keep going at it until you drive yourself crazy, but at some stage you've got to call it quits and be happy with what you've got. And I think I'm at the level now where I would call that. So if I just put my finger there to help with the focusing, if you have a look at that, that's pretty decent. So all the way around, we'll just have a look. I know it's hard to see when you're just looking through the camera, but in my case, the fine scratches in the paint were too much for the Meguiar's Ultimate Compound, and I had to go for an extra heavy cut. That's not knocking Meguiar's, it depends on your application. If your swirls aren't so bad, then that's certainly a good product. I was definitely very happy with that. But after I used a CarPro eraser to wipe back sort of the greasy sort of left the remnants from the actual compound, and I put the car under a lot, I found that there was still some scratches I wanted to get rid of. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use the CarPro eraser, which is simply just a clear spray like this. I'm going to go over the entire car, even though it's just been polished. I'm just going to make sure that there's no fine dust or anything that's settled from outside. Just going to wipe it with a microfiber, a brand new one from the pack, never been used. And I'll probably just use about 4, one for each side of the car, and just get the car nice and clean so that I can now start looking at the ceramic coating from Lancer Evo